Hi everyone, welcome back to Corporate Dakota, the place where we dissect public company filings to uncover the real story behind the numbers. Today we're diving into a report from VisionWave Holdings Inc., a company that's seen a pretty big shift recently. So what exactly happened here? Well, on July 14, 2025, VisionWave Holdings Inc. completed what they're calling a business combination. This essentially means they merged with another company, Bannex Acquisition Corp. This is a pretty common move, especially when a company like Bannex, which was a special purpose acquisition company or SPAC, might have been a shell company looking for something to buy. Now, VisionWave is the combined entity, so we're looking at the financials and operations of this new, bigger picture. The big news from this report is that after the merger, VisionWave now has 14,253 shares of common stock outstanding. They also have warrants out there that could lead to another 7,306,000 shares being issued. This means a lot of potential new shares hitting the market. The trading symbol for their common stock is VW, and for their warrants it's VWI, and for their warrants it's VWR, and for their warrants it's VWI, and for their warrants it's VWR, and for their warrants it's VWI, and for their warrants it's VWI, and for their warrants it's VWI, and for their warrants it's VWA, and for their warrants it's VWA, and for their warrants it's VWA, and for their warrants it's VWE, and for their warrants it's VWA, and for their warrants it's VWA, and for their warrants it's VisionWave. Aviuthi started trading on July 15, 2025. Which is just one day after the merger itself. VisionWave itself is based in Delaware. Let's talk about who's in charge now. Douglas Davis is the executive chairman of the board. Noam Koenig is the director and chief executive officer. Eric T. Schuss is a director. Eric Klinger is the chief financial officer. Danny Rittman is the chief technology officer. Yossi Attia is the chief operating officer. Chuck Hansen is a director, and Haggai Ravid is also a director. It looks like most of these folks are considered independent directors, which is good for governance, especially since they're listed on NASDAQ. Now for the ownership breakdown. This is where it gets interesting. Yossi Attia seems to own a significant chunk of the company directly, with about 4 million shares, which is about 28.32%. Then you have entities like GBT Tokenized Corp and GBT Technologies Inc., along with Magic International Argentina FCSL, holds the exact same amount for the same percentage. Stanley Hills LLC, or CSDIA, is also linked to Stanley Hills LLC. This suggests a concentrated ownership structure among a few key individuals and entities. On the board committees, the audit committee is made up of Eric T. Schuss, Chuck Hansen, and Haggai Ravid. Haggai Ravid is the chairman of this committee and is considered an audit committee financial expert. The compensation committee also consists of Eric T. Schuss, Chuck Hansen, and Haggai Ravid, with Eric T. Schuss as chairman. The nominating and corporate governance committee is also made up of these same three directors, again with Eric T. Schuss as chair. This shows a lot of overlap in committee membership for these three independent directors. The company also has an incentive equity plan, the VisionWave Holdings Inc. 2024. Incentive equity plan. This sort of plan allows companies to give stock options or shares to employees and executives as a way to motivate them and tie their success to the company's performance. It was approved by the shareholders of Bannex, which makes sense as this was part of the overall deal. Digging a bit deeper into the structure of the deal itself, we see that it was all laid out in a merger agreement and plan of reorganization. This document was signed way back on September 6, 2024. The shareholders of Bannex then approved this deal on May 2010 to 2020-2025. And the whole thing was finalized on July 14, 2025. It involved a series of mergers where Bannex itself became a subsidiary of VisionWave, and the original VisionWave Technologies Inc. also became a subsidiary of VisionWave and the original VisionWave Technologies Inc. While the document is a current report and focuses on the event itself, it does reference previous filings for financial details. Specifically, it points to a registration statement on Form SMAS4 for financial statements of VisionWave Technologies Inc. and pro forma financial information for the combined company as of and for the year ended December 31 Torrent performance. Up to that point, you'd need to look at that S4 filing. This 8K is more about announcing the closing of the deal and its immediate impact. Now it's important to note that, like most of these filings, this document includes a lot of forward-looking statements. These are essentially predictions and expectations about the future. They use words like believes, plans, anticipates, and so on. The company is telling us what they think might happen, but there's no guarantee. They specifically mention risks like getting shareholder approval for future plans, getting or keeping their stock listed on NASDAQ, and even potential disruptions to business operations because of the merger. They also highlight costs related to the business combination and changes in laws or regulations as things that could impact them. One of the key risks they highlight is the possibility that industry growth doesn't happen as expected. This is a big one for any company, but especially for ones that have just merged and are relying on a growing market. They're saying if the industry doesn't grow as fast as they think it will, or if it grows at a different pace than they've planned for, it could really hurt them. This is based on both what other people are saying about the industry and on what VisionWave's own Accession theory, and what VisionWave's own numbers suggest. On the dividend front, Bannex, the company that was acquired, never paid any cash dividends. And looking forward, VisionWave doesn't currently plan to pay any cash dividends to its shareholders in the near future. So if you're looking for income from your investment through dividends, you likely won't get it from VisionWave anytime soon. The company's charter, which is like its foundational document, will protect its directors and officers. This means they will be indemnified, meaning protected or compensated if they face any legal issues related to their work for the company to the fullest extent allowed by Delaware law. This protection even continues after they stop being a director or officer, and it covers their heirs too. Looking at leadership, the list of executive officers and directors is pretty clearly laid out. Douglas Davis is the executive chairman, Noam Koenig is the CEO and a director, and Eric Klinger handles the CFO role. Yoshi Attia is the COO, and Danny Rittman is the CTO. The directors include Eric T. Schuss, Chuck Hansen, and Haggai Ravid. Their terms generally go until the company's annual meeting in 2026. For detailed financial insights and the why behind the numbers, you typically look at the management's discussion and analysis section. This report references those discussions for both VisionWave and Bannex from their previous filings. So if you want to understand the financial health and operational performance in detail, those sections are where you'd go. An important detail is that the board of directors of Bannex received a fairness opinion from Marula Capital Group LLC on July 14, 2025. This opinion stated that from a financial standpoint and based on their analysis, the consideration for the merger was fair to the shareholders of Bannex who weren't directly involved in the deal. This is a common step to ensure the deal is reasonable for all parties. A crucial point in this filing is that as a direct result of this business combination, VisionWave is no longer considered a shell company. Shell companies are typically companies with no real business operations, often formed just to acquire or merge with another entity. By completing this merger, VisionWave has now moved past that status and is a functioning operating company. Finally, the company announced the closing of this business combination with a press release on July 14, 2025. This is pretty standard practice to inform the public and investors about such a significant event. So what's the verdict on VisionWave Holdings Inc.? And this merger, well, on the plus side, the company has completed its significant business combination and is now a fully operational entity, no longer a shell company. That's a major milestone, and they have a clear leadership team in place. Their stock and warrants are now trading on NASDAQ. However, there are a few things to keep an eye on. The ownership structure appears quite concentrated, with a few individuals and entities holding a large portion of the shares. This can sometimes lead to less liquidity and decisions being heavily influenced by a small group. Also, while they've listed potential risks like industry slowdowns, they don't appear to be paying dividends anytime soon. This means investors looking for current income might need to look elsewhere. The lack of readily available current consolidated financials in this specific 8K filing, directing us to other documents, means that a deeper dive into those reference filings would be necessary to truly assess the combined company's financial health and performance trends. It's a classic case of an 8K announcing a major event, but requiring further research for the full financial story. And performance trends, it's a classic case of an 8K announcing a major event, but requiring further research for the full financial story. Alright, that's our breakdown of VisionWave Holdings Inc.'s recent filing. What's your take on this merger and what the company's future might hold? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this analysis helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. Don't forget to check out our Discord channel linked in the description for more real-time discussions and insights. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.